Everybody wants to get united. Like, what we gotta do is meet everybody on 149th Street at the bench.
Hey guys, welcome back to another bench video. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys all about variant structures, a topic in graffiti that has never been talked about. Now, here in today's video, we're going to be talking about not only variant structures, but letter structures in general, and how a brand new graffiti artist might go about learning graffiti utilizing these different kinds of structures. Because this is graffiti, we're focused on letters here, and in graffiti you have your basic alphabet, right? Your ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and they look a little something like this. These are referred to as our basic structures, which are our letters in our simplest form, or lowest style threshold form, and that's a very important note to keep in mind. Now, other letter-based art forms refer to this as the skeleton hand, and you're going to use this if you're a new graffiti artist in order to learn the art form. That's what the skeleton hand is really for. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, you can use this for highly stylized work as well, but these are great for learning the fundamentals in any letter-based art form, in this case graffiti, because the letters themselves are very simplistic. So for a brand new graffiti artist, you'll really want to focus on your basic structures because these are the letters in their simplest form. So they're not going to overcomplicate anything, and as a result of that, you can put more of your attention, more of your focus on learning the actual topics, concepts, and fundamentals that you need to learn in order to progress in the art form. Now, there's another category of letter structure out there called variant structures, and I want to stress, these are not stylized letters. Now sure, variant structures begin with a higher amount of style in them, but we're not distorting any fundamentals to arrive at these. These are just alternate ways to write a singular letter, and some letters have an absolute astronomical amount of variant structures. Trust me, when I was making the book, I hated doing the variant structures for each letter because there's a ton, there's a ridiculous amount, but then other letters have no variant structures at all. Now this is where I gotta let you guys know, if you want to learn a lot more about variant structures, check out our brand new book. You can find it in the description down below. It's a comprehensive guide to graffiti. It goes over all of the fundamentals and shows you all the variant structures for every letter in the alphabet. I'm not kidding when I tell you guys, this book goes ridiculously in depth on a lot of topics and has information that has never been talked about anywhere online or in any other how to do graffiti book. So get yourself out of the toy phase or improve your graffiti no matter how experienced you are by picking up the book in the description down below. Your support on the series has been incredible so far, and we're going strong working on the Throwy book for you guys, so thank you for the continued support. I really do appreciate it. But getting back to the topic. Now, variant structures are largely determined by the strokes used to actually create the letter. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear on this topic because this is kind of going up off the deep end, if you will. Strokes in graffiti are not at all a massive priority for graffiti artists. Not in the same way that calligraphy utilizes strokes. For calligraphy, strokes matter a lot, and they are a massive emphasis. In fact, they're art form defining. So while strokes may not be art form defining, they certainly are very important for the fundamentals in general, as they will typically determine the distribution of weight of a letter, the negative space management of a letter, obviously the letter structure, and also whether or not something is a variant structure or not. Now, one of the letters that gets brought up pretty often is the letter O, and a good friend of mine, Applejack's, actually brought up this in the previous video, where she asked, isn't just a square letter O a variant structure? And the answer would be no. The reason for this is because different letters react differently to style. You see, there's a topic in graffiti and in all art forms called style thresholds. So essentially, a style threshold describes the range that a particular subject matter, or even an art form, can change or influence its style before it becomes something else. So the example I'd like to give here is, you can only make a piece so simple before it turns into a straight letter, and you can only make a piece so technical before it turns into a wild style. That range is piece's style threshold. Very similarly, you have something going on like that with hand styles, where variant structures and basic structures make a category called base structures, and base structures exist within a certain style threshold. Now, some letters, when you add a little bit of style to them and you change their basic structure, that influences the letter's style threshold. But because some letters react really heavily to style, such as the letter O, when you turn it into a square, it breaches base structure's style threshold and turns into a more stylized letter. Another key thing to know about variant structures is they flow universally with all other base structures. Of course, provided that all your fundamentals are correct. And a square O does not necessarily universally flow with all other base structures because its style threshold is much too high. So why exactly would you use a variant structure? What's the benefit to using these? Well, first and foremost, different variant structures come in different shapes and sizes and weights. So if you have a part of your name that maybe weighs a little bit too much or too little, you might want to throw a variant structure over there in order to see how that influences the weight on that side of your name. For example, we can oftentimes see Revoke add a bunch of weight to one side of his name by using a variant structure on the R or the K. These really open up the potential for you to do whatever you want with your style. It opens up a whole can of worms of possibilities, and what's amazing about them is you can interchange them and still reliably flow. Now, there is something to be said about having too much contrast within a single tag. This is something that we all contend with. Contrast is a fundamental after all, and it will affect your flow. The last thing you want to do is add too much contrast within a single tag, and now suddenly none of your letters look like they go well together. That's not what you're looking for. You still need that sense of cohesiveness, that sense of letter uniformity and similarity. And once again, this is exactly where variant structures shine. Because so many letters have so many different variant structures, you can reliably find two different letters with similar shapes. Use those variant structures and suddenly you got yourself a name that flows. A lot more than you would have otherwise. Now, base structures. The beauty behind these is you can once again utilize them for just your more simplistic work. And that's perfectly fine. You can have very beautiful graffiti with just these zero style added, because they within themselves have a bit of style baked into them. But if you want to do something a little bit more wild, something a little bit more stylish, regardless of whether you're doing a hand style, throwy, or a piece, you're gonna start with a base structure. Let's use wild styles for example. You can look at a wild style from Saber and you can break down any one of these letters and it can easily revert back to a base structure. It has to. If it doesn't, then there's something fundamentally incorrect about the person's work. And what that means is you can lose the letter in a mess of details that looks awesome and really dope, but the letter structure still has to be there. And that's the important part. Philly hand styles abide by this, the most technical of throw-ups follow this, and the most wild of wild styles follow this. So when you sit down and you begin to stylize your work, what you're going to do is you're going to select your base structures. Decide where you want to start from. Are you starting with a 1-box S or a 2-box S? What base structures are you beginning with? That's going to give you the foundation to build off of as you begin to pack style onto this. Once you've decided what your structures are, you can begin to think to yourself, alright, what other fundamentals do I want to mess with? Do I want to lean my letter? And if so, do I want to lean it to the left or to the right? How's that going to affect the weight? Not only of the letter, but the name as a whole. There's plenty of ways. There's an infinite amount of ways to manipulate style, but you gotta balance out those fundamentals. And you gotta make sure you're prepared by utilizing different kinds of base structures. But dude, that just about wraps up today's video. If you want to learn everything there is to know about graffiti in a lot more detail, then check out the books we published in the description down below. I truly, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say there is not a singular how to do graffiti book, blog, website, and nothing out there that comes close to the information in this book. We teach you all about variant structures, we teach you all about every single fundamental and how to utilize it. We even teach you not only how to create your own personal style, but how to create a whole art form if you really wanted to. And this book is really going to set up the foundation of all of our future books, because this book teaches you all of graffiti's fundamentals across the board. So if you want to get out of the toy phase, be sure to check it out and pick up the book in the description down below. And if you want videos, if those are more so your thing, check out the best how to do graffiti playlist right over here. Why do I always get this confused? I'm pretty sure it's over here with more graffiti content right down here. And I'll catch you guys back here next week. Thanks for watching.